Alright, mic check 1 2 1 2. You guys can hear me? Great. Let's get started. So, I just literally like 5 minutes ago finally received my Apple Silicon Mac Mini M1 chip, whatever, Mac, which I did talk about a month ago in a different video where I was thinking of buying it. Well, guess what? I bought it. Honestly, if I wouldn't have the YouTube channel, I would never have bought this thing. I've been reading about it. I've been reading about audio. I've been reading about general performance. And this first generation thing, very bad investment for the studio, like a very bad investment. It's probably not even going to work right now. We'll see. But yeah, because of the YouTube channel, I decided to buy one and to keep you guys updated on the status, on you know, what the moment will be where I can switch to this thing compared to my Mac Pro beast underneath the table here. I'm not going to lift it up, it's too heavy. So yeah, let's quickly unbox this thing, because that's a whole thing on YouTube. Do I need any tools to open this, or do we have a certain... that's how we can open it. So it's kind of interesting if you think about it. Like in audio, how many different software manufacturers you are dependent on. I mean, I run Reaper, I run Fabfilter, I run Isotope, I run Flux for the analyzers, Celemony for the Melodyne, Motu for the drivers. Well, in a broader scale, Dropbox for client interaction. I have the Stream Deck. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. So, yeah. There it is. It weighs like nothing. Wow. Really weighs nothing. It's very cold as well. Not for long, not for long. I'm really going to learn this thing, how it works. Alright. Oh, no ports. Oh, wait, it's covered up. A few interesting things. I just only have the Mac Mini right now, but if I'm considering to use this thing as my main studio workhorse, which like on paper should be easily possible, I need external storage. That's one of the first challenges that I will have then. This thing is 512 gigabytes, and honestly, it's not that expensive to upgrade it to 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte when purchasing. But the issue I have is I don't like to have my operating system and my files, my project files, on the same disk. I really want to have that externally. Maybe that's an old way of thinking, but I just like to be able to swap those things, to really have the physical drive in my hands. One of the things I could do is get an NVMe enclosure, but that already fills up one of the USB-C ports. The Ethernet port is 1 gigabit. Should also be enough for audio, but then again, there's not even an option of 10 gig. It was on the old Mac Mini, but not on this one. But the Ethernet port for me is more interesting to see if it supports AVB, which I couldn't find anywhere. So yeah. Maybe last thing to note is the specs. Did I already tell you? Oh, did I already tell you guys about the specs? Because that's one of the reasons why I needed to wait so long. I've gone for the 16 gigabyte version. After seeing some reviews, it might be even too much, because the way the memory is handled in the Apple Silicon devices is completely different from the way a memory works in x86, as far as I could understand. So yeah, I'm really excited to get started actually. So let me hook this thing up to my monitor. I have no idea where to go from here. I'm just documenting. So yeah, let me hook it up. Let's see what this thing is going to do. Now, before we start with testing that new Mac Mini, I want to say that this video wasn't possible without my amazing sponsor, Skillshare. Now, Skillshare, if you didn't know this already, is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and also curious people. And with thousands, I mean thousands. And most of all, the variety. I mean, they go from web development to painting to lifestyle to video making to a lot of stuff on there. And right now I'm learning more about interior design, which I think doesn't surprise my viewers a lot. It is a really interesting subject. Now, during this holiday season, you can, for instance, use Skillshare to learn how to create a personal handmade gift. Because if you put some time, effort and creativity into your gift, it will really show how much you care.
Now the whole Skillshare platform is ad-free and costs $10 per month if you take an annual subscription. And as with all of my videos, I do really encourage people to try things themselves and don't listen to me, don't take my word for it. That is why the first 1,000 people to use the link below will get a free trial of the Skillshare Premium membership. And this way you can explore your creativity. And now I really want to check out the Mac Mini.
So I've got it running. This is, well, not the default. I've got it running, I did some tests and it's pretty interesting what I found right now. First thing, interface. So I've got Motu interfaces, I got 5 of them. In my normal setup, one of the interfaces is connected over USB 3 to the Mac Pro, and from there it goes over an Ethernet connection, so it's all connected over Ethernet on AVB. And this gives me 64 channels of I/O with like a latency of 3 milliseconds or whatever, like low enough for mixing. Those 64 channels, they are not available as of right now on the Mac Mini, on the M1 chip. And that is because there isn't a Motu driver yet. I tried installing the Catalina Intel driver with Rosetta, but that's, I mean, that doesn't work, of course. Now what is cool is that the Mac Mini supports AVB. So I can hook it up directly to the Ethernet, to the AVB network with all the interface in it, and from there connect it. Now AVB is a very difficult to understand standard. It's not very easy to set up. You have to deal with stream formats, with stream counts, with getting all the sample rates right. You have to go into the terminal to access those settings. It's a lot of hassle, but I got it working right now, and it still gives me a little bit of a hassle when I reboot. But apart from that, it works, and it works really well. I'll show you this a little bit later in a latency demo. Now the next interesting and very important thing is the software, of course. As most of you know, I'm using Reaper as my main DAW. And what I did is I installed both the Intel version and the native beta version. And when it comes to just audio, they kind of perform in the same way. It seems like the ARM version is not completely optimized yet. So my main plugin bundle, which is like if I have that bundle, then I can open 99% of my sessions, is the Fabfilter Pro bundle, and I also installed that one, and that one is right now not ported to ARM, but that could happen like the rest of this week. So could be that when I release this video that it is ported, but it's a great example for plugins that are still on Intel. And if I use the Rosetta ported version of Reaper, Fabfilter plugins just work. They work really well, flawlessly, like they work. However, when I go to the ARM version of Reaper, and it's super cool that I can run those two like at the same time on the Mac Mini. When I go to the ARM version, VST3 is not available. So I can run them in VST or AU, but that is not what I want because all my sessions run VST3, and if I would consider using this as a production machine, I need to open my old sessions. I'm really interested to see what happens when those plugins come natively to the Mac, and I will make a quick video when Fabfilter comes with the native versions. I'll make sure to pump out a video as quickly as possible just to compare. I'll make a few benchmarks actually, like this is how it's performing right now and this is what it does when it's native. I think that's a good thing to do, smart thing to do. Now the last thing, before I'm showing you a few things, the last thing that I want to say is that this thing feels super snappy. Like that. I've got a pretty fast MacBook, like it's my video editing MacBook, so it's a spec'd out MacBook Pro 15-inch from 2019, and that thing feels ancient in comparison with this thing. The graphics, like if I connect a 4K display to my MacBook, yeah, it already starts to slow down, like it feels a little bit laggy. 4K display on the Mac Mini, no problem at all. And same goes for like all the apps. If I open Safari, like it almost seems like my internet is quicker. Or something, like if I open pages on the internet, like click links and stuff, it's really snappy, really, I don't know. Video editing is something that I would love to talk about, but all the YouTubers are talking about it. I did a quick test and I'm not really impressed yet. And I'm running DaVinci Resolve beta version for ARM. It's not spectacular. And I do a lot of video editing, of course. So I know I know the differences. It's slower than my MacBook Pro, so that's cool because the MacBook Pro was way more expensive than the Mac Mini, and that would like give a lot of conflicts. Anyway, that was the last thing that I wanted to say. Let's run a few demos.
All right, so look at this, and I'm maybe more excited about this than I should be. What I made here is a session, and it's basically stressing out all my in and outputs. So I've routed all the 64 channels from one audio source, but I don't think that there is a lot of performance difference in reading and writing from disk, because that's basically the only thing it needs to do, if I'm correct. But it's like sending it to all my audio outputs, and it is recording all my audio inputs, all stereo files. And I got 64 channels in total. And right now we're running the Intel version of Reaper. So this is with the translation. And we're running with a 128 samples block size latency. This is also what I'm running at normally on the Mac Pro. Now block size doesn't say everything, and also this latency indicator here in Reaper is also an estimation, but it is running, as you can hear, fluently on all channels. Now we don't have signal on all the channels, but for the data rate, it shouldn't make a difference. I mean, it should do the same in terms of performance. Now, one of the things that I also noticed is that the scrolling is way more fluent in Reaper, already in the Intel version of Reaper. But now it gets interesting. We can change the block size to 64 samples, and it's still working brilliantly. I can record like on the fly, everything. I can even stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, do all kind of crazy stuff. A lot of systems would already start to suffer here, most of all with that low block size. Let's take it a little bit lower, 32 samples on AVB. AVB in the past didn't really work with such low latencies. Like I was getting like 20 or 30 milliseconds. Right now I'm at 3 milliseconds. It still runs, and this is on a translated. This is translated. It's not even native. But we can even go lower. We can go to 16 samples. And it still works. It just works. Nothing. Also, if I'm scrolling or whatever, it just handles it. Look, I'm even inserting a plugin on the channel that I'm sending. I think if I'm inserting on the channel that I'm receiving, but that's logical, of course. Like if the buffer is so short, plugin cannot sample it in that time. Although I'm really interested in seeing like development in that stage. Let's see if that works actually. Oh, I'm now also EQing my receive. I'm not sure what happens if I insert a reverb. Wow, even that is, I didn't test this. Even that is clean. So a reverb on a receive with 16 samples of latency on a translated version. So Reaper is translated and the plugins are translated. This is not even native. It cannot even get better than this. I mean, we're starting to get into like a physical limitations of how fast an electron can go through a wire. That's a little bit of bullshit, but yeah, this is really promising. What isn't promising, however, are my render times. Now let's get a session, and I cannot play this session for you guys because it's from a client of mine, so I cannot do this. But let's do an export with my normal settings. This session goes really slow on my Mac Pro. It's like 0.8x that it exports at, and let me show you what it does on here. Render, it goes at 0. This session will take 6 freaking hours to export. So that's not. I mean, you can't use this as a production. Logically, you can't. What? Let's make it a little bit simpler. Let's just take a project that I made here with just a few channels in here, just a few channels, and I'm just bouncing the mix. No plugins, nothing. Now, if I render this goes at 1.6, which should be fast enough. But if we test this on the MacBook, so this MacBook, just for your information, has an 8-core Intel i9. And over here, I have to be quick with my zooming and my panning. I'm getting 16x. So when it comes to rendering, it's not really optimized. We are, of course, still running the Intel version in here. So let's quit this one. And this is so cool that you can just have both versions on your system installed. Like, so cool. Let's quit the Intel version. Let's start the other version, the ARM version. So I tested the latency performances, and they are the same on both versions. There's not really a difference between those two. And also like the amount of plugins that I could insert, but that's maybe because of the fact that the plugins are still Intel. So that's why there isn't a difference. Now, if I look at the ARM version and export here, we're getting about the same speed, a little bit faster, but I was expecting this to be in the neighborhood of the Intel machine, and I don't think this is optimized yet or something. I don't know. I have no real information on this as of right now. And that's it for this first look video, which turned out to be way more advanced than I was expecting. If you like this video, then let me know that in the comments below. And if you want me to test certain things, also let me know in the comments below. Small disclaimer, I'm not going to test different DAWs and that kind of stuff. I actually still have to see like if I can create a dual boot or something, because if I'm really going to more seriously use this Mac Mini, I don't want to clutter it. I'm already doing this with snake oil videos. The snake oil videos are recorded on a different SSD, on a different system SSD. So I'll need to find out if that is possible. Now I want to thank Skillshare again for sponsoring this video. The link to watch Skillshare is below, of course, in the description. That's one of the things that I have to do for the sponsorship. But I also want to thank you guys, the viewers, because the biggest revenue comes from the viewers. Now, if you want to help the channel out, you can do that by several ways. You can buy my merchandise, which is underneath here. It's this, but it's cold here, so it's pretty cold in here. So I'm keeping it warm and toasty here. It's all linked under the video. A new way to support me is by buying things with my affiliate link, and that is also linked below. Now, the last two ways to support me are these two. Patreon, the fan club, where you can get early access to videos. Mac Mini isn't interested anymore. Anyway, early access to videos and all that kind of stuff. And watching more already public videos. So don't forget to subscribe. Click one here. Thanks a lot for watching. Keep pushing, and bye bye.